right now. We are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld taking you through to that closing bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec join us. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube here on a record-setting Friday, a record-setting week, Carol Massar, particularly on a week where I think a lot of people were holding their breath on a lot of levels with the Fed, with Iran, and of course, with that barrage of earnings that we got. So far, it looks like the fog is lifting for a lot of folks.
Yeah, right. Interesting week. I agree with you that we're hitting some records. President on his way to, when he came out of the White House, stepped onto his helicopter. It was just interesting, the barrage of headlines, tariffs on EU autos, talking Cuba, talking the war. There's still a lot of unresolved and volatile issues coming out of Washington. But yet, as you rightly point out, Romaine, here we are sitting at another record.
Yet oil prices still this week moved higher, especially WTI, Katie. That was in the last 5 days up 8.2% when we're looking at, contracts for June of 2026. Right. Same with Brent, that's up 3% this week. So both of those still above $100 a barrel.
Yeah, it's been interesting to sort of see the equity bulls in the market sort of push all that geopolitical agita, what we're seeing in oil, that rise that you mentioned, to the side. It feels like big tech earnings have squarely been in this market's focus, and it's going to be interesting to see at what point we do return to some of those geopolitical worries, especially if we see oil sort of behave as it has been.
As we get the closing bells here in New York, a mixed round here on the tape, but for at least a couple of the major indices, we are going to get record highs. The Dow Jones Industrial Average sitting this one out, down about 150 points, or about 0.3%. The S&P 500 closing at another record high, right around that 72.30 mark as we wait for these numbers to settle. That's going to be higher by about 0.3% on the day. The Nasdaq Composite up about 0.9%. The Nasdaq 100 also up a similar amount, both at record highs, and the Russell 2000, which hit a record high yesterday, hits another one today, up 13 points, or 0.5 percentage point.
All right, let's go on over to the S&P 500, if I may, in terms of the breadth. And you're looking at, Katie, 177 names to the upside, 326 to the downside. You wonder what the best performing stock is this week?
Tell me.
Centene.
Interesting, an insurer.
Right.
Wow.
There you go.
Romaine, did you know that?
Yes, I know that.
I didn't hear you pipe in, pipe
Katie
up there.
she was, the eager beaver. She buzzed in first. Don't you watch Jeopardy? It's all about buzzing in first.
It's totally about the
it's
buzzer.
my lifelong dream. Can I have an aside here? It's my lifelong dream to be on Jeopardy, by the way.
I feel like that absolutely tracks. That is not surprising.
I've actually been on the set with Alex Trebek.
Did you actually participate in the game?
Well,
no, I did. I did a story on it.
Have you actually applied, tried out for it?
Yes, and they've refused to.
Do they know who you are?
I know. I keep telling them that.
Even with that brain?
I know.
Maybe you're just not that good.
Ken Jennings, and I know he watches. Please, I beg you.
Please, Ken Jennings. That would be such an amazing crossover. But
my husband's really good. He's really annoying to sit and watch with.
I have to meet your husband. He sounds like a really cool guy.
He is. Never.
Yeah. Never meet him. I guess there's other stuff. Is there other stuff to do?
There is. We have to talk to the circle. It's so interesting today because we know that we did finish at these record highs. And you can really thank big tech for that. Information technology as a sector higher by about 1.4%. You did see consumer discretionary gain a little bit as well, too. But all you need is tech because you only had 2 sectors in the green, 9 in the red. Energy as a sector down by about 1.3%. But you think just about the index math here. And tech was enough to really get us back to those record levels. All
right, guys, let's go to some of the individual gainers, if I may. Let's go on over to Apple, of course, reacting to its earnings late yesterday after the close. Stock up about 3.3% here, rallying its highest intraday in a few months. Apple delivered a surprisingly strong revenue forecast for the third quarter. It did warn about those memory chip costs, but we kind of expected that, or we wanted some color around that. They did say that they warned that they will increase and that shortages of Mac computers will persist for several months. Apple has benefited from a series of new products launched back in March. The MacBook Neo, iPhone 17e, updated iPad, Air models, and a fresh MacBook Pro. That Neo, that $599 Neo, Apple's first major push into kind of a low-cost laptop, has been particularly popular. It remains sold out at several retailers, so that's kind of cool. Tim, Oracle gave me Oracle today, said I needed to look at Oracle.
Here's an Oracle for you.
Here's an oracle. Tim is an oracle for me. So that stock up about 6.5% in today's session. Officially agreed to join the list of AI companies working with the Pentagon's classified networks, according to a post by the Pentagon's Undersecretary for Research and Engineering, putting that out on X. I will still never get used to these official declarations from the government that come out on social media, but there you have it. And then I want to mention Paramount Skydance, number 2 gainer in the S&P 500, up 8.3% today. Company is scheduled to report its first quarter financial results. That's going to happen after the close on Monday, and this is as the company continues to move closer to finalizing its merger with Warner Brothers Discovery. So there you have it.
Okay, there are some gainers. I got the stocks in the red today. I want to start with shares of Roblox. They fell by 18.3%. This after the company reported fewer daily users in the first quarter than analysts expected. This was as a result of safety features that it implemented. The company also lowered its forecast for full-year bookings. They said that was a result of a, quote, aggressive push to enhance safety, and projected another quarter of user declines. Once again, Roblox shares falling by more than 18%, the worst day going back to February of 2024. Moving on, the worst performer in the S&P 500 on a percentage basis today was none other than Clorox, down 9.7%. This was the worst day going back to February of 2022. The company's organic sales missed consensus expectations for the third quarter. They cut their annual forecast. Katie?
Yeah.
Cat litter?
Yeah.
What?
And salad dressing categories performed poorly during the quarter.
Delicious.
Cat litter is why I was thinking of
Yeah, thank you.
your cat. Do you guys not use Clorox cat litter?
Speaking of husbands, that is firmly a Joe job. I haven't touched the litter box in years, but thank you for thinking of me.
Shout out to Joe for
Joe.
handling the litter box. Okay, finally, let's go aviation. Got to check in on what shares of Spirit Aviation did on the day today. It was down as much as 70% earlier in the session, fell by more than 25% though. This after the company was reported to be making preparations to wind down its liquidity position as its liquidity position worsens and the prospects of winning a bailout dim. That's according to people familiar with the matter. President Trump, though, saying that he delivered a final proposal to rescue the company, but it would only proceed if it's a good deal for the U.S. government.
All right, let's check in on yields here. A relatively modest day, and quite frankly, a relatively modest week. We're going to end the day here right around 4.379 on that 10-year yield. And just remember, about a week ago, we were basically right around 4.3. So we are elevated on the week here, and that is going to be a big part of the story going forward, particularly with the war in Iran still continuing, the Strait of Hormuz still closed, and a lot of big questions about inflation.
So, Romaine, if you were the name of a chat assistant, like, would that bother you? You know, hey, Romaine, what's the temperature today? Hey, Romaine, how do I get downtown to a really cool French restaurant?
As you know, Carol, I'm a man of the people. So when I walk down the street and people ask me what the weather is, hey, are you that guy? You know, I stop and talk to them.
They walk by and they say, hey, Romaine, anyway, because they recognize
That's
you.
true.
Yeah,
everywhere you go.
So you would be cool. Well, for people named Claude, apparently they're not so keen about this. Many who are named Claude adjusting to sharing their name with that AI assistant called Claude from Anthropic.
So the popularity of Claude has led to some situations where human Claudes, so these are not AI Claudes, these are
dozens of
human,
them, yes.
real
People.
people.
Are they
They're
smarter
hearing
than
their names
AI
in
Claude?
contexts that have nothing to do with them, maybe in meetings or conversations about projects.
Thank you for laughing, Katie.
You're welcome.
This is what did you say?
Romaine and I were sharing a TV moment.
Sorry.
We sit next to each
Yeah.
other.
You do sit there. You guys are next to each other even though you're in those boxes?
Yeah, no,
I
it's
know.
crazy.
It's weird how they do that.
We're
You
not
learn
supposed
something
to
new
look
every
at each
day.
other.
Yeah, so.
It is.
Check
Eventually
out
we'll
this
get
story
there.
that Madison
Where are
Derbyshire
you?
wrote.
You know, you're next to me.
Very much.
Human
Friday vibe.
Claudes
That's how you guys started drinking early, huh?
have mixed reactions to sharing their name with
Just
AI.
eat.
Check out Madison's story. It's one of the most read on the Bloomberg terminal. A nice story.
It kind of
about
it
Claude.
reminds me a lot of Alexa, of course, the Amazon assistant,
Yeah.
when she came onto the scene. I think
Yeah.
there are more Alexas than Claudes out there, but you know the problems are similar here.
Absolutely.
What do you
Go
got?
on.
What do you got for us?
That's it.
Go on.
Hey,
Okay.
Claude, do you have a story for us?
Yeah, we can pivot. We can talk about billionaires banding together here because apparently New York City billionaires are rallying around Ken Griffin. We know that he's in a bit of a feud when it comes to Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and it's just nice to see people coming together.
So what's
here.
the feud? I'm confused. I saw so Zoran Mamdani. He did a video
Yep, on tax
about
day.
something about taxing like pita tears over a certain amount. out. And apparently he was outside. He filmed this outside of the building where Ken Griffin owns a penthouse.
Yeah.
And Ken Griffin did not like that.
No, he didn't like that.
Okay.
And then there were some concerns about, and you know, Ken Griffin and what Citadel has done for the city. They have a big project here. They're building a new building.
Yeah.
There's some questions
They
about.
employ a lot of people here, too.
They employ a lot of people.
Okay.
And now there are concerns about what ends up happening if that company decides to leave.
So they're uniting the ultra wealthy
Uniting.
around him.
Okay.
It has been hard to track Citadel because they were in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I thought they were in Miami.
I thought they were in Miami too,
So-
but they still
But
have
they
a
still have
presence
a
here in New
presence
York.
here.
But they're building here, I thought.
Yeah, they were supposed to build
Yes.
some big
Yeah.
tower,
Okay.
which last time I checked, they were actually building. So is he going to stop
We're
building
not
that?
going to solve this today. I was going to tell you. So I think we have to wrap, and maybe we'll table till
I have
next
a lot of
week.
questions.
We're
should
going
go
to be
back to-
Hey,
Ask Claude.
We're going to be
Romaine.
out.
Is this
on-
penthouse now free? Because Katie's looking for a place.